الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اجعل أعمالنا خالصة لوجهك ولا تجعل فيها حظا لغيرك. رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح. رب زدنا علما. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All thanks and praise are due to Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for each and every favor. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the greatest favor of all, making us the carriers of His kalima, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We send our peace and salutations upon our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his family, his friends, his companions, and all those that follow him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to resurrect us on the day of Qiyamah in the company of our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah, all praise are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to meet in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purely for His sake. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all our intentions. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all our a'mal. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open up our hearts and our mind so that the nur of ilm can penetrate therein, inshaAllah. Firstly, it is truly an honor for me to be sitting amongst the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially those that has been accredited and those who have accepted the accreditation and that will be leaving our shores very soon for Hajj, inshaAllah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be their companion on this trip. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all their du'as. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them safety. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant each and every one of them a Hajj maqbool and mabrura, insha'Allah. Alhamdulillah, this class is going to be much shorter than the usual Hajj class that we attend. Usually we attend a Hajj class that runs over months. And so the aim of this class, initially it was only for those people that who are leaving for Hajj soon, inshallah, in the next coming few weeks. So we said it will be like a crash course. We will be covering the sunan, the wajibat, and the arkan of Hajj, insha'Allah. So today, insha'Allah, we aim to speak on the virtue of Hajj, the ruling of Hajj. What is the ruling of Hajj? Next week we will try and complete the entire Umrah, and the week thereafter, insha'Allah, we will try and complete the 5 days of Hajj. So it is not a lot to take in. It is very simple. Sometimes people complicate Hajj. And also the reason for this is, alhamdulillah, myself and Talib, alhamdulillah, we were last year, we were fortunate, we were the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that experienced Hajj. And on my personal experience, I saw the disadvantage or what it means if one isn't equipped for Hajj. If one is not equipped for Hajj, you rely entirely upon the mutawif, what we call a matawf. You rely completely on them. And one thing we need to realize is that the matawf won't always be there. We're going in large groups of people. Sometimes he gives more attention to other people. Sometimes we break away from the group. And the moment we know our Hajj and the moment we know our Umrah, we are not dependent on a matawf. Because we will find ourselves at times where we need to do things on our own, or we feel we want to go for an Umrah. I want to take my wife with me, and the two of us are going to perform our Umrah. However, if we don't know how to perform an Umrah, How will that be possible? We will have to rely solely on a matawf. And sometimes one matawf is ascribed to 20 or 30 people. So what happens is, he goes today for an umrah. I or my wife, we are not available today. So what we do is, we want to go tomorrow, but tomorrow the matawf might not go. So what we will restrict ourselves so much. So by this class, inshallah, we intend to inform and to keep it as brief and as simple as possible. The book we are consulting, however, is a book called Manasikul Hajj, which was written by one of the greatest Shafi'i scholars ever, one of the greatest jurists ever, Imam Nawawi rahimahullah. We will be consulting from his book Manasikul Hajj, and also we will be using, for the sake of Fadail, a book called Fadailul Hajj of Shaykh al-Hadith Moulana Zakaria Kandahlawi. We will mainly we will consult other books as well, but mainly our works will be taken from Manasikul Hajj and Fadailul Hajj of Zakaria Kandahlawi Maulana rahimahumullah. So first, like any other act of ibadah, for every act that we do, we need to know what is the hukum of that act. So what is the hukum of Hajj? When we speak about hukum, we know, to make it simple, what is the ruling? What is the ruling pertaining to Hajj and Umrah? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, and complete your Hajj and Umrah. So in the Shafi'i madhab, and Umrah at least once is just so compulsory as Hajj. Not in the other madhahib, but in the Shafi'i madhab, Umrah is also considered and taken, where Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, he says, because of this verse, وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجِّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ, Allah says, and complete the Hajj and the Umrah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. And then there's three things that one needs in order to perform Hajj. We need finances, we need health, and we need a safe passage. Those are the three most fundamental things. And like we prepare financially for this journey, we need to prepare, even more important than that, is spiritually prepare for this journey. We need to cleanse ourselves before embarking on this journey of Hajj or Umrah. And Imam Hassan al-Basri, rahimahullah, he says that a Hajjul Mabrur, it's mentioned the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, Al-Hajjul Mabrur laysa lahu al-jaza illa al-Jannah. This is one of the most important journeys that we will ever take in our life. It is the most important journey that we will ever take in this life. And as we know, the way things are now, we won't know if we will get another chance to go for Hajj. With this whole quota system, and you have to register, and you need to be accredited first, and all this, we won't know. Maybe for Umrah, yes, inshallah, may Allah take us many times. But for Hajj, we will only get one shot at Hajj. So it is only fair, and it is only fair upon ourselves that we do it right. Because what's the use, all the sacrifices, all this weight, all this excitement, all these things, and then our Hajj is in doubt. Did I do the right thing or did I do not? So Hajj is something we need to know properly. Because sometimes, not speaking out against any mutawif, not speaking about, but sometimes they make errors. Sometimes they make clear errors. It's not always that the matawf is an alim or it is a student of deen. Sometimes it is somebody, yes, that knows Makkah very well, he knows Medina very well, and at times they err. So if we know our Hajj and Umrah and we see an error, then we can say, no, but this is not the way I have learned. This is not correct. So we perform our Hajj the same way or the closest to that of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Hassan al-Basri, coming back to the hadith, Al-Hajjul Mabrur laysa lahu al-jaza illa al-Jannah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says that a Hajj Mabrur laysa lahu al-jaza, there is no reward illa al-Jannah, except Jannah. There are different actions that can take one to Jannah. This is a very important one. And it is something that every person that goes on this journey, and the scholars of hadith, they agree. They say that this hadith, it does not only cater for Hajj, even in Umrah, Maqbula and Mabrura, it is also laysa lahul jaza illa al-Jannah. It is included in this. So if we really want to perform our Hajj to the best of our ability, it's necessary that we learn the integrals of Hajj. Then Imam Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah, he says that Hajj Mabrur, he defines this word Hajj Mabrur. He says what is meant by the word Hajj Mabrur in the hadith, Al-Hajj Mabrur. He says that Hajj Mabrur is having an aversion from the transient life. He say, what is a Hajj Mabrur? The day a person returns from Hajj and he has no more desire for this transient life. For this temporary life, he doesn't recognize it anymore. He doesn't see it as something big. Before we go for Hajj, yes, we have families, we have homes, we have cars, we have a job, we have everything. And that is things that are very close and very dear to us. But the moment one comes from Hajj, you can never ever be the same like before you went for Hajj. If you are exactly the same like you left or before you went for Hajj, there's serious questions that needs to be asked. So one cannot go for Hajj, come back and be the exact same person. So that's why it's of utmost importance. Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah, he says that a Hajj Mabrur is having an aversion from the transient life and having an inclination for the year after. When one comes from Hajj, soos ons sal sê, dan week 'n mens vir die gat. Nou week ek net vir my qabr, right? That is a sign of a Hajjul Mabrur. Abu Umama radiallahu anhu, he narrates, he says the one who has no Shari'i obligation, he has no Shari'i obligation, he have no sickness, or he does not have an oppressive ruler that prevents him from going for Hajj. In other words, to make it simple, if one are by the means to go for Hajj, if we are by the means to go for Hajj, you have the wealth, you have the health, you have a safe passage to go for Hajj, and one does not go for Hajj. Abu Umama radiallahu anhu, he says that that person, if he dies in that state, in other words, die persoon, hy het die geld gehad, hy het die gesondheid gehad, daar was niks wat vir hom teruggehou het van Hajj, and he didn't perform Hajj, and that person dies, he dies either as a Christian or as a Jew. To show us the importance of Hajj and the importance of going as quick as possible. Why? Because we don't know when we get a chance. We cannot delay Hajj. Nee, ek is nog nie reg nie. What happens if you die tomorrow? Is that the answer that we will give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Ya Allah, I was not right. Aisha radiallahu anha, she also narrates on the virtue of Hajj. She says that there is no day wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives more slaves, more of his bondsmen than on the day of Arafah. Aisha radiallahu anha, our mother, she says that there is no day where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives more people than on the day of Arafah. And besides that, she says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she boasts about the people. The people on Arafah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala boasts about him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the malaika, what do these people want? What are they actually asking for? So, from this hadith, we take it that each and every person, we live our entire life to stand on Arafah. We live our lives in order to stand on Arafah, in order to beg from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here it is worth mentioning that when we go on this journey, people will always tell you, vra vir enige iets. And we should do that, ask for everything. But at the same time, we need to remind ourselves, if we ask, and it is something that we need to bring into our lives, not to make cheap du'as. Not to make cheap du'as. If we ask from Allah subhanahu, Allah's treasures can never run dry. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's treasures can never run dry. So when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the best. We always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the best. But the point that we want to bring across here of everything that we can ask for, yes, you can ask. If I don't have a car, Ya Allah, vergun vir my 'n Mercedes Benz. We can even go further and tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what color we want. We can tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what size wheels must be on the Mercedes Benz, etc., etc., etc. But everything of this transient life, it comes to an end. And it can be taken away at any time. But let us rather ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for things that matter. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for iman and taqwa. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our children. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rid our communities from drugs. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, you be pleased with me. Ya Allah, raise me under the banner. Oh, Ya Allah, make me stand. We must remember one thing. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, Al-Hujjaj wal-Ummar wafdullah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, the Hujjaj and the Ummar and the people that go for Umrah, wafdullah, they are the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, as we know, always Islam teaches us this, that a host has certain rights over his guest, and a guest has certain rights over his host. So here we are the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this trip. We're going to be the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He accepts our du'as regularly. And what is Allah's right over His guest? Allah's right over us is that we perfect the rituals of Hajj. That we carry out the ritual of Hajj to the best of our ability. That is what the right that Allah has over us. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our Hajj. Protect our children. Ya Allah, those children of ours that's not married, grant them good Muslim, pious Muslim spouses. Ya Allah, those that are unemployed, give them work. We ask things that really matter. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, shade me on the day of Qiyamah when there will be no shade. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continuously for forgiveness. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continually for forgiveness for whatever sin we have made. At this point in time, it is worth mentioning now that we are going on the most important journey of our life. We are going on the most important journey. Do we want to go and stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's house, be the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a dirty heart? No. So the very first thing also worth mentioning here is that we have omitted quite a number of things. Because of the time, we only have 3 weeks or 4 weeks, maybe, I think only 3 weeks. We cannot cover everything. So what we have omitted is, how does one make intention for Hajj? What needs to be in place? I'm sure everybody did that already. There have to be a will in place. I need to be able to cover all my debt. I shouldn't leave my family in difficulty. Going away, daar is die geld om die rente te betaal, ons kan nie die water betaal nie, my pa het die geld gelos om dit te betaal, of that all needs to be covered before we leave for Hajj. All of that. The moment there isn't sufficient funds for that, then Hajj, you are not mukallaf to perform your Hajj. Only if all that is in place, alles kan betaal with die DSTV, die DAI, whatever, etc., everything needs to be covered. We also omitted the etiquette of travel. I'm sure everyone knows the etiquette of traveling. We had to learn that before going on this trip. So all of those things, we're only going to deal with the most important things. So where were we? We want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to go on this trip with a clean heart. And we try and clean our slate. How does one do that? One makes a sincere tawbah. Before going, the moment we made intention, the moment we got accredited, the moment we accepted our accreditation, the very next step after that is, I need to fix my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I need to clean my heart. I need whoever's haqq, whoever I owe a haqq, I need to give that haqq to that person. If that person, for example, I owed someone money from my high school days, or from 10, 15 years ago, I need to go and give that person's haqq back. If I am unable to, that person have passed away, I take it to his family. If I am unable to do that, go and ask that person's family for pardon. All those things need to be in place before we go for Hajj. And we need to make a sincere tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we know there are 3 things that one needs in one's life when one makes tawbah. Number 1, you have to have regret and remorse for whatever sin we have done. All the kaba'ir sin that we have committed over the years, we ask with remorse and with regret. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we stand up in the middle of the night, or if we are unable to, whenever we have time, we seclude ourselves in a little corner, in a dark corner, and we cry out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it should be genuine tears. If we can't cry, we make like we cry. And we say, Ya Allah, here is this weak slave of yours, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, I have done so many things wrong, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, you have called me to your sacred house. You have called me, Ya Allah, I'm here standing in front of you now. I am ready to make tawbah. I am ready to turn to you, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, I want to meet you with a clean heart. I want to meet you with a clean slate. Ya Allah, you clean my slate. You clear my slate. Number 1, regret and remorse. Number two, desist from that sin immediately. We can't be going for Hajj in 2-3 weeks time, but I'm still busy with sins. What is the possibility of a Hajj being accepted if I'm still busy with sin? We need to desist from that sins immediately. And then the last one is, number three is, we make a sincere intention never ever to return back to that sin. That kabair sin, we make an intention, Ya Allah, I will never ever, I make a pledge to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, I will never ever go back to that sin. One thing we must remember, and the old people, they always used to tell us that, and they had so much wisdom that they would always say, Makkah salif will change you. Makkah won't change you. If I have that attitude, I am still someone that listens to music. I am still someone that are doing so much wrong. I don't perform my salah punctually. Each and every person that is embarking on this journey, he needs to ask himself that question: what is the possibility of my Hajj being accepted Hajj? What is the possibility of my Hajj being accepted if I am still listening to music, I am still doing wrong, I still perform my salah like I want to perform my salah, when I want to perform my salah? Yes, we will perform our salah on time in Makkah, we will perform our salah on time in Medina, but what happens if we come back from Makkah and Medina, we come back home, then the real test starts. Doing Hajj, that's the easy part. Living Hajj, that is the difficult part. And a person's Hajj, it must reflect from oneself when you come back from Hajj. Then people must see this person, mashallah, he has made such a drastic change in his life. But that change needs to happen before we go for Hajj. Because it is so true. Makkah won't change you. Makkah won't change you. It is something sad. Just yesterday, I was looking at someone's status, and I saw on this person's status that a woman, she came like a week or a week and a half ago, she came from Umrah. Yesterday, it was her birthday, and they hired 2 singers. And this lady was dancing in the hall. She was dancing, and I was sitting there. I was shocked. I was shocked. I think 2 weeks ago to DTT, staan sy by die Kaaba en sy vat foto's die hele haram vol. We don't know what we're speaking about here, but it was just something that's sad and that hurts one to think. Last week, every day your status was the Rawda, the status was Masjidul Nabawi, the status was Makkatul Mukarramah. Today, if you did that and you do it in your own home, Alhamdulillah, but to put it on one status where you are dancing and people are singing, they are a bunch of females and they hired 2 male singers. And this lady was dancing to the music. I thought to myself, Ya Rab, you come from Umrah, I speak under correction, I think like a week or even less, a week ago she came from Umrah. So if that's our attitude, we need to ask ourselves a question: what is the possibility of my Hajj being an accepted Hajj if I'm still being caught up in things like that? So the very first step is that we need to make a sincere intention. Imam Ghazali rahimahullah, he states that any loss of life or wealth on this trip, it is a sign of qabuliyat. Imam Ghazali rahimahullah, he say that is, and he says, when you spend on this trip, spend with pleasure. Spend with pleasure. And here also it is worth mentioning that something about our Cape Townian people is we like to haggle. We know what is haggle? It was like bargain. But Islam teaches us you haggle to a certain point. If the man tell you 100 riyal and you tell him 90 riyal, and now the man say, okay, Bismillah, and you say, no, 80 riyal, and you keep on haggling, and then the man is showing you like this already, kyk, jy kan nie lager as daai gaan nie man, daai is die laagste prys. That is un-Islamic. You haggle once, don't go overboard, and then for a fine cheek, after that, you turn to your friend, weet jy, wat maak ek met die ou nou? Hy verkoop die goed vir soveel, ne? Ek het vir hom gegee, ek bring vir hom af na halfprys toe. That is not something to be proud of. It is disgusting. We shouldn't haggle too much. Yes, you don't pay immediately because sometimes They inflate the prices. Sometimes they tell you 100 riyal, but they think actually the price is 90 riyal. Because he's preparing himself. Ek weet nou, ek ken die Kaapenaar, ek ken vir hulle. Ek ken vir hulle, die man se eerste woorde gaat nou wees, Akhir Kalam. Is dat die beste prijs? Nee, 90. He will go down to 85, sometimes 80, but don't go lower than that. Don't want that thing that is 100 riyal, I want it now for 50. That's a bit going off topic, but just to remind us not to overhaggle. Now in Hajj, there are two patterns or two scenes. There are two patterns or two scenes. In each and every act of Hajj, there are two implied realities. There are two implied realities in each and every act of Hajj. Now here, Imam Ghazali, he wrote about this. Imam Nawawi, he wrote about this. Moulana Zakaria Kandahlawi, he wrote about this. About the two implied realities of Hajj. The two scenes that plays in one's mind when one performs Hajj. And he said the very first reality is, or implied reality is, that it resembles death. He said, and one should have that on your conscious mind, that this is exactly the same like death, going for Hajj. And then he goes into detail and explain why does he say this. He says that one prepares yourself for Hajj first. You prepare yourself spiritually, and you prepare yourself financially and physically. And now he equates the two and he says exactly the same like death. We live our life for what? To please Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal. We live our life to please Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We make that preparation for the afterlife. And then he goes further and explains, he says, on the day that one departs from your home, you are going to depart from your home now, you're going to leave behind your loved ones. You're going to leave behind your children. You're going to leave behind your wealth. You're going to leave behind your cars. You're going to leave behind your house. You're going to leave behind your job. You are going to leave behind your very close friend in whose company you sit every day. You're leaving all of them behind. He say, how does this equate to death? How is this? He say, it is exactly the same. The day we die, we will also leave our house. We will leave our children. We will leave our spouses. We will leave our loved ones. We will leave our job. We will leave our car, etc., etc. He say it is exactly the same thing. And then he makes mention, he say, you get into your conveyance to take you to the airport. They didn't say this. They said now, you mount your conveyance, but we now don't have camels and horses, but they say, you get onto your camel, and then you leave your premises. You leave from your house where you're leaving from. So in our time, we get into our house, and we leave them all behind, and you move further and further and further away from your home. Exactly the same like when you die. You will be placed into the hearse, en hulle gaan ry weg en weg en weg van die huis af. And he say it's exactly the same. Some people will only come visit you at home. And now we say the same like when you die. Some people will come to your home only to view you for the last time. Some of those people that love you more or that are closer to you, they will accompany you to the masjid. And that is that family members that will accompany you to the airport. And he say, and then you get on the plane, and then you leave all of them behind, and you move alone. They say that is that moment when they place your cattle on the shoulders. Those people that are placing you in your grave, that is exactly the same like on the airport. Now can we imagine the state that we leave home with if we have all this in mind? If this reminder comes to mind that this is exactly the same like the day that I will leave this world. And then we move, we get on the conveyance, and we're going now to an unknown place. Exactly the same. The day we die, we're moving to an unknown world. We are moving to an unknown world. Exactly the same like on Hajj. And then he says, what clearer reality than the day that we don our ihram? For the males, I put on their 2 white pieces of cloth. He said, this is exactly the same like the day I die. Can we imagine what will our emotional state be if I don my ihram, I put on my ihram, exactly the same like that, where I tell myself, one day I will be wrapped in the same cotton. I will be wrapped in the same cloth, being ready to be buried. You say it is exactly the same like that. And then we move to the Kaaba and we make tawaf around the Kaaba. Sometimes somebody must just show me. I usually do this in all my classes. I get somebody to remind me when I'm going off topic. Or sometimes, yeah, especially when I go off topic, somebody must just signal with their hand, kyk jy gaan nou offside. But in any case, you say, then you make tawaf around the Kaaba. Exactly the same like the Malaika are making tawaf around the Arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have this in mind. If a person leaves the house in this state, if a person goes to perform your Hajj or your Umrah in this state, it will be much more spiritual. It will be much more spiritual. And then he speaks about Arafah. He say, what better to equate death to Hajj than Arafah? Each and every person standing on Arafah with disheveled hair, die mekaar, alles vuil, hulle hare is die mekaar, we are dirty. They say exactly the same like the mahshar. Maaf, I forgot one, I forgot to mention the sa'i. He mentions the sa'i and he says that when a person runs between Safa and Marwa, it's exactly the same like the mahshar. He said it is exactly the same. We heard the hadith before where every person will run from one Nabi to the next Nabi. Hey, intercede for us, intercede. And each and every Nabi will say, don't come to me, nafsi, nafsi, I am here for myself. Go to this Nabi. We will go from Nabi Adam. He will send us to Nabi Ibrahim. From Nabi Ibrahim to the next Nabi, to Nabi Musa. From Nabi Musa to Nabi Ibrahim, etc., etc., until it comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he will intercede for us. But the point is that exactly the same like we will be running on the mahshar, exactly the same it is like when we are making that sa'i. To making that sa'i, inshallah, when we come to that part, the sa'i in Hajj, then we will equate it to its true reality of what actually took place in the sa'i. But here we're just saying, we're just mentioning it here to show us the realities, the implied realities of Hajj. How it is equated to each and every part of Hajj, it is equated to death. And then they speak about Arafah, where one will stand in the sun and the sun baking down on that slave standing on Arafah. They say exactly the same, like on the day of Qiyamah. Exactly the same when we will be standing on the mahshar in front of Allahu Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal with disheveled hair. They will stand in Surah Qamar. In Surah Qamar it is mentioned, they will come. They will come with something eyes mean, almost like with bloodshot eyes. They will come on the day of Qiyamah. They will come and they will be like spread locusts, exactly the same like on Arafah. And also Imam Nawawi, he mentions this and he says, when people are standing on Arafah, it is exactly the same like on the day of Qiyamah. People will be standing with the sun. The only difference is on the day of Qiyamah, the sun will be like 1 mile away from our head. 1 mile away from our head. We heard the hadith where it says, some people, they will stand in sweat to their ankles. Some will stand in sweat to their knees. Some will stand to their navel, some to their necks, and some will be drowning in their own sweat. Exactly the same on Arafah. You look at that picture and you see to yourself, each and every person is here for exactly the same reason. Each and every person that was standing on Arafah, they are crying out for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness. Each and every person, they are crying for Allah's mercy. They say exactly the same. After Arafah, he explains people move to Muzdalifah and to Mina. And people are moving in their thousands. When people leave Arafah, for those of us that are going now, people move in their millions, not thousands. When the authors, when they wrote the book, probably in that time it was a couple of 100,000. Now in our times it is millions. So people will be moving in their millions to Muzdalifah and to Mina. In their millions they will be moving there. They say exactly the same. And they will be walking behind the imams and each one engaging in his own action. When we're going to Muzdalifah and to Mina, he say exactly the same like on the day of Qiyamah, where each ummah will walk behind their prophet. And we hope that we will be with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and on that day that he will intercede for us. And that is the one. And the one is, we said there are two implied realities. The one is Hajj is exactly the same like this. The second implied reality is it gives us a vivid, practical description of true love, devotion, and adoration to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How does this make sense to us? This practical example of love and adoration for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can we think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the invite? Now we respond to the invite of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We leave our homes like we have just mentioned now. We leave our homes. We leave our loved ones. We're not cared about my car. Ek weet my kinders wat my kar stukken ry. So right, ek wil Makkah toe gaan. We leave everything behind. In search of what? In search of what? We don't know if we will be coming back. But in search of what? In search of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In search of our beloved. We are in search of our beloved. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sifat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala attributes. are one of purity. It is one of perfection. Allah's attribute is one of perfect beauty, everything. And what is man? Man was created to adore beauty. He was created to adore purity. He loves things beautiful. He loves things perfect. And Allahu Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal, in essence, Allah is beauty. Allah is perfect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something that we cannot imagine. We are in search of it. We leave everything that we have, the things, the places that we spend the most time in, the people we spend the most time with, the things we did that we love most. We gave all that up for what? In search of Allahu Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal. We're going purely for Allah's sake. In order for what? For the rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the satisfaction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can accept all our a'mal from us, inshaAllah. The second relationship is that we need to understand we are caught up in a relationship of master and slave, a master and slave relationship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the master and we being the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And being the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala our true ubudiyyah. We need to show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala our true servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What this trip means for us. What is this all about? Because after all, this is the thing that will take us to Jannah. Hajjul Mabrur laysa lahul jaza illa al-Jannah. A Hajj Mabrur, it is a guarantee, there is no other reward except Jannah. So we are the slave in search of our Rabb. We want to find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the second relationship is the one based on love and gratitude, whereby one sets out seeking the beloved. And then we leave everything behind and we travel over mountains and jungles and oceans in search of Allahu Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal. Now after understanding all of this, we know now the transient realities. We know the implied realities of Hajj. Now we're ready to embark on this journey of Hajj. And the very first place that we will be going to, it is, I think there is still enough time we can start with preparing ourselves to go to Medina al-Munawwarah. To go. Before we go to Medina, let us just stop quickly at Cape Town International. Something that we need to do is, on this journey, it is the holiest journey in our life. We should try our utmost best to have no waqts of qada. We don't make qada at any time on this journey. I have seen it personally where people don't want to perform at the airport. Because even after you went through the gates, right, you have left your family behind, you have gone through the gates, now you're on the other side, there's no facilities there to perform salah. There is toilets there to perform wudu. There is toilets to perform wudu, and there is ample space to perform salah. If we find ourselves in a position where we, say for example, my flight is 1:30 or my flight is 2:00. At that time, in fiqh, they discuss a ha'il. When one is on a travel and the moment we have crossed a ha'il. The ha'il is anything, a space that one cross. For example, even the fuqaha, they mention when it comes to the end of your locality that you stay in. The surah of the locality. So for us, the moment we hit the end too, we have crossed that ha'il. Some people will tell you, but you can't make qasr and jam. Weet gesê, ons het nog nie getravel 83 kilometers. You have to, it is a lack of understanding. You are by all means able to perform qasr and jam. So I know if my flight is 2:00, I'm going to be on the plane now for Asr. I perform qasr and jam salah. We perform our qasr and jam salah in order for what? That I have no qada. I have no qada. Even if I'm going to come in wherever, I'm going to Qatar or wherever, I'm going to get there, I can still make jam. I make jam with ta'khir. And then I take maghrib to Isha. And till when is Isha? Till when is the waqt of Isha? until tomorrow morning Fajr time. So I will have no qada. Why people don't want to perform salah? Wallahu a'lam. I don't know. I have no idea why people does not want to make qasr and jam salah. We take our spouses, and if we are by ourselves, we go there, we perform our qasr and jam salah. Because this is, like we have said, this is the holiest journey that we will ever undertake. So for that reason, how can you go on this journey and then you have qada salah? Unless it is beyond our scope of influence, there is no way that I could have made it. There's no way I could have made it in that case. Then we are ma'adur. Ons is ingesien in that case. But if I have no excuse, and then how do I start off my journey? I haven't even left Cape Town yet, and already I am incurring qada upon myself. I'm incurring qada without any valid reason. So on Cape Town International Airport, a reminder, please, please, we perform qasr and jam salah here in order that we reach there without any qada. I'm not certain now, should we, what time is Asr? 10 to 4, so we still have 15 minutes. Inshallah, I think we can start off with Medina. Quarter to 10 to quarter to 4. Maybe we can just start off so it will make our load easier for next week, because next week, inshallah, we intend to conclude the entire Umrah from step 1 until the Umrah is complete. We complete it next week, and then the following week we will be dealing with the 5 days of Hajj. So I think to make it easier for next week, we just start with Medina this week. So we will be reaching Medina, inshallah. That's how it usually works. We go to Medina first. Medina is truly a special place. And we don't need to tell nobody needs to be told about Medina. Just one fact about Medina, and that will suffice for everything. It is the place where our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is buried. It is the place where our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam lay buried. And at this point in time, it is worth mentioning the hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, من زارني بعد من زارني بعد الحياة من زارني بعد الممات كمن زارني في الحياة ومن زارني في الحياة حلت له شفاعتي يوم القيامة أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says in a hadith, whoever visits me after I have passed on, he is exactly the same like the person that has visited me in my lifetime. وَمَنْ زَارَنِي فِي الْحَيَاةِ, and whoever has visited me in my lifetime, حَلَّتْ لَهُ شَفَاعَتِي يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, he is guaranteed of my intercession on the day of Qiyamah. He is guaranteed of my intercession on the day of Qiyamah. So we have reached Medina, alhamdulillah. We went to our hotel, freshened up, took a nice shower. We put on our best perfume. For the males, we put on our best perfume. Ek trek my dierste top aan. Ek trek my dierste top aan. I wear my most expensive perfume. Ek smeer my gesig vol Vaseline dat ek kan blink. Dat die mense kan dink ek die man se noor. Right? No. The point is, we beautify ourselves. We beautify ourselves. Why? Because we're going to the best of creation. We hear every day, قال Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah said this. We hear of Rasulullah. Here we are going to the tomb of Rasulullah. We are going to the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're going to be standing literally meters away from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And from this hadith, it is a massive inspiration. It is a massive inspiration. He says, whoever visits me after I have passed on, in other words, he comes to my qabr. Whoever comes to my qabr and he visits me is exactly the same like he visited me in my lifetime. And whoever visits me in my lifetime, he is guaranteed of my intercession on the day of Qiyamah. And whoever Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam intercedes for on the day of Qiyamah, that person is guaranteed Jannah. So here already, just the mere intention for Hajj, and if it is accepted Hajj, it is already Jannah. Here is the second ticket to visit Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in order to get his shafa'ah. Now here it is worth mentioning that wherever we are staying, to have certain landmarks. Because a person can get lost. Medina maybe not so bad, but Makkah, it is very tricky. But even in Medina, we memorize gate numbers. We memorize gate numbers and we memorize certain landmarks. What is the landmarks that everyone knows? Starbucks, McDonald's, Kentucky. You name it, they have Dunkin' Donuts. Everything they have it there. Whatever we can think of, they have it there. So food won't be a problem. If we don't get food at the hotel, that is klomp. And the people, I'm surprised that people said that food is expensive in Makkah and Medina. I tend to differ with them. I tend to differ. It depends now, obviously, what you want to eat. If you want to eat goulash and you want to eat prawn curry, etc., yes, then you have to pay. But if you suffice, like myself, with a lekker hoenderdijk, cheap, cheap. And I can tell you people what's the best thing to buy. Everybody, like McDonald's in Kentucky is famous here. There's a place more famous than that there. This place is called Al Bake. Al Bake. Now Al Bake eet a burger for 350 riyal. Is that expensive? 350 riyal. A double burger for 7 riyal. And then you get the ultimate. I promise you haven't tasted a wrap like the wrap that they have by Al Bake. A prawn wrap. A prawn wrap. A prawn wrap with chips and a drink for 12 riyal. Who's they? Is they duur? In Medina and Makkah. Yes, Al Bake, you will find it all over the show. The only thing is, don't be fooled. The lines is always super long. Then you'll see, as 5 mense by Kentucky, as 5 mense by McDonald's. Wat is hy ander kwaai plek se naam wat ons ook hier kry? Ook 'n American plek. Hardee's. Hallo, that's klomp kwaai burgerplekke en kosplekke. But you will see Al Bake is always full. There's always a super long line. But that line goes so quick. I think, for those of us that are living with our spouses, we're not saying make zulm on them, oppress them, dat hulle nie lyne gaan staan. No, there's a reason. The woman's queues is always empty. Die mans, almal die ouens wat werk in die haram, die cleaners, almal gaan Al Bake toe. Almal. Die lyne bly lang. Nou, Al Bake het 'n staff, in the house this now. But this is advice. Advice, the whole thing of this class is to give back to the community experiences, pitfalls, right? Don't do this on Hajj. Don't do that on Hajj. This is like advice. This is advice. If you want some nice food, Al Bake. As your vrouwtjie likes you, well, then we have to go somewhere else. There are so many food places. But ek het myself opgehang op die Al Bake. En ek het my vrou getrek, ek het haar laat proe die prawn wrap. She was in love with it. As ek haar vra, sy go to Al Bake. Ja, men bring my sommer 2 wet wraps. Sommer lunch en supper. Bring 2 wraps. Ice creams, you name it, Al Bake it alles. And it's lekker. And then you get also the 10-piece and the 15-piece nugget. Also very cheap. But enough from the... How did we come by the food? Kijk, niemand het nou hulle hand opgesteek. Niemand het hulle hand opgesteek. Nou, kyk, ons is nou binne in die kos. But, no, but alhamdulillah, it is very cheap. We can enjoy the food. Oh, the landmarks, daar is het. Jazakallah khair. It is important that we choose landmarks. And on each and every gate, the big gates, you will find the Arabic numerals and you will find the English as well. You will find the English numerals. So you choose a gate and you tell your wife, listen here, whoever comes here first, we wait here. But today is simple, we all have cell phones. You phone your wife, listen here, wacht jy nou, ek wacht hier by gate 38. Okay, wacht nie daar, ek is nou daar. Alright? Because also another thing worth mentioning is to always write down the number of your hotel. Write down the number, the phone number of your hotel. Because in case you get lost, you give, or you take a card by the hotel, you give it to any of the Asgaris, you give it to them. And today it is so simple, honestly, and I maintain that if you speak Arabic, it is of very little benefit today in Makkah. Everyone, each and every person, almost every second person speaks English. It's not like it used to be. Eerst as hy Arabic gepraat, dan was hy kwaai. Nou, as hy Urdu praat, is hy kwaai. All the workers, all the shopkeepers, they can speak Arabic, but their mother tongue is Urdu. So those of us who can speak Urdu, that is an added bonus. You can haggle better, they can better conversation mark. The people that work in the hotels, all speak Urdu. Some of them speak very well Arabic, alhamdulillah. But the point is, always get a card at the hotel. The hotel card with the hotel's phone number on it. And then, after that, where were we? About dressing us in the most perfect of clothing, putting on the best of smells, going to greet Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And there we send the salam to the best of creation sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We mention our family's names. We say, Ya Rasulullah, so and so send the salam. So everybody that can greet you, en moenie vergeet om te sê by die kamer van Rasulullah, sê ek die salam. Yes. We say mos inshallah. Right? Moenie daar kom en try om te onthou wie almal gesê het. Net Ja Rasulullah, almal van die Strandfontein stem die salam. But when it comes to your very close family, when you say your children's name, your brothers and your sisters' name, so and so send salam, and so send salam. We spend as much time each and every day when we go to the Haram in Medina, whenever we enter. If we don't, we shouldn't actually have excuse. We're supposed to start off our day in the morning by, you can't get into the road or maybe, but you can pass right in front of the qabr of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It stays open 24 hours a day. So we start off our day each and every day, whether it is at tahajjud time, maybe not for the females, but for the males. Every day I start my day like that. We go in, we walk past, we come at the qabr of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we pause there for a few minutes, we make dua, we greet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we are unable to, I am with my wife, she doesn't want to go alone. In any case, you will have to depart at some point. Depending on where you stay, sometimes the males, like we, alhamdulillah, we had a very nice place in Medina, where you walk in by the gate, and you just do that. The woman goes in here, the man goes in here. Sometimes if it's not that gate, then the men have to walk some distance and the females some distance. But nevertheless, we start off our day by greeting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we send the best of salawat on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And one of my teachers, before we left, he came to us and he said, it is wajib upon you, it is compulsory upon you. If you spoke for 1 hour, then you must send salawat for 2 hours. If you spoke for 2 hours, you must send salawat for 4 hours. You are in the city, you are in the home of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But we don't need to tell people that. You will see it comes naturally. It comes naturally. You get a tasbih and you just wake up in the morning, you walk out of your hotel, and then you start. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. It comes, wallahi, it comes naturally. It comes naturally. You are constantly in salawat. Constantly in salawat. And it is incumbent upon every person to send as much of salawat on our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We start off our day like that. If, however, we are unable to do that, whatever door we enter in the haram in, we still greet. As-salam, Allahumma aftah li abawaba rahmatik waghfir li dhanbi. We make, like for any masjid, we make that intention. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His forgiveness. And also, we make niyyah. For everything in deen, there's always a shortcut. It is not whether it is dua, whether it is what a'mal, there is always Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He taught us that. He taught us that. And in order to maximize reward, and in order to double reward, in order to multiply our rewards when we enter, whether it is this masjid or any other masjid, but especially Masjidul Nabawi and Masjidul Haram, when we go in there, we make niyyah for sunnah itikaf. For any masjid, I don't know if the brothers are aware and the sisters, but if we enter even this masjid, Allahumma aftah li abawaba rahmatik waghfir li dhanbi wa nawaitu sunnata li'atikaf lillahi ta'ala. Your reward is multiplied. For every waqt that we come to the masjid, make niyyah for i'tikaf. More so in Medina, when we enter the haram of Medina, nawaitu sunnata li'atikaf lillahi ta'ala. We make intention for i'tikaf. We greet there immediately after that. Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. That alone, it sends shivers down your spine. Just to think about, I am standing here right in front of Habibullah. I'm standing here in front of Rasulullah. The person that will intercede, that Nabi that will intercede, that same Nabi that cried for you and I. One day Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was standing in Jannatul Baqi. He was standing in Jannatul Baqi and he looked extremely sad. And he said to his companions, I miss my brothers. I miss my brothers. And the companions, they said to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ya Rasulullah, here we are. We don't understand what you are saying. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he turned to them and he said, you people don't understand. He said, you are different. You are my companions. And then they said, then what do you mean, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? He said, my brothers are those that have never ever seen me, but they will bring iman in me. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they were referring to us. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was referring, he missed us sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Here we are standing right by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So we should make dua then, we should send our salams, dressed in the best clothing, wear the best perfume that we can find. And then we also, I think our time is up. I think we will conclude on that inshallah. Next week we will just start again from Medina, but from wherever we stopped. And then we have to. Next week we must have somebody that's very strict to just to raise their hand and show off the point. We need to complete, it is necessary that we complete the Umrah from step 1 to the final step of the Umrah until we come out of Ihram. We need to finish that by next week inshallah. Yes, inshallah, we will mention that. Somebody must just send me, maybe Sadaqah can just send me a reminder in the week closer to Sunday, maybe Friday or Saturday, then I can just check up the hadith again and bring it just to make mention here of the significance. So I know we need to end off now, but just if we have the choice, I think it is best that we book, if we can, we try and book for 8 days in Medina. 8 or 9. I think there are packages like that. In order for what? In the hadith that our brother has now requested from us to get 40 awqat in Medina and the significance thereof. We will start off with that next week inshallah. Jazakumullah khair for each and everyone that attended. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala